A friend of mine messaged me today while I was sitting there going through some comments and stuff like that, and I got a message from this buddy of mine that I went to high school with, actually. So it's kind of cool that we've reconnected after all these years. We've done some shooting at the range and things like that together, so it's kind of cool when you haven't seen somebody in 20 plus years and all of a sudden they pop back up and you're buddies again. He'd been watching the channel and seeing what I've been doing here, and he decided he wanted to give it a try. You know how exciting that is to have, like, I have thousands of you that watch me that I don't know personally, but I'm getting to know you, so that's awesome, and I appreciate each and every one of you. But you know what it's like when you talk to your friends and family and they just think you're crazy. Well, it's nice to have somebody actually listen to you, and he's not the only one. I have to give credit where credit is due. My mother has lost weight doing this, and my wife has joined in. But also another friend of mine that I grew up long even before high school that I've reconnected with, he's lost a whole lot of weight, and we're going to talk about his story someday, hopefully. I'm trying to see how he feels about it and maybe get into that eventually. But the gentleman I was talking to, he's been doing it for about a week now. So he's excited to try it because he had some IBS type issues, and also I think that his biggest issue was joint pain. And you know, something I don't talk about very much on this channel is the autoimmune side of things, because I never actually got a diagnosis from a doctor that said autoimmune. But even when I first heard this, when I first heard Jordan Peterson talk about this diet, he mentioned autoimmune, and I was thinking, I don't have autoimmune deficiency syndrome. I mean, that's the only thing I associated with autoimmune when I first heard that. Which is AIDS, by the way, and I was like, well, I ain't got that. And I didn't think that was what he had, so I didn't think about it right away. I just looked at the problems that he said that he had fixed, and I was so desperate, I said, you know what, this man has helped me in so many other ways. How could he be leading me the wrong way on a diet, too? I mean, it's not that I thought, how could he lead me the wrong way? But I already knew that carnivore would be a good way to go because I had done Atkins. But I never thought about doing it with no vegetables. And I didn't mean to get sidetracked too far here, but it's important to point this out because I never thought about autoimmune at all when I got started. I was literally just desperate, and I'd find so much strength and guidance in the things that Jordan Peterson's videos had been saying. And when I overheard him say that about how he had this numb spot in his leg that had been there for 30 years, and that went away. He was like, whoa, God, I never thought that would feel normal again, but it felt normal again. And he talked about getting off of SSRIs because he had chronic depression in his family. I'd never been diagnosed with that either, but one of the reasons is I'm not very open with my doctors about stuff like that. I've always been a little bit skeptical about talking to them about that. I'll get into that reason another time if you're interested, or you can ask me in the comments and I'll be glad to talk about it. And then I heard about Mikhaila's issues, and then I looked into what Mikhaila had been through and how she had the arthritis and she had the other pains, and then she had the issues with her gut and her skin and and I just thought, well, if it cured all of that, then probably it can help with my gut issue. It wasn't until sometime into this diet that I looked up autoimmune. And as a matter of fact, let's take a look at that real quick. Let's see what the government says about it first. And surprisingly, I think it's actually very accurate for the most part. All right, National Institute of Health, autoimmune diseases. Overview, symptoms, and causes. Now, a lot of you have probably heard the same thing that I've heard and thought similar things that, like, I have never heard my doctor say autoimmune. So listen to this and just think. Now, it's always something to be careful when you're searching online for health questions, because there's probably something out there that says what you want to hear somewhere. So it's good to look at other sources too and to make sure you're doing your research. But let's just start with something so we can take a look and see what this mystery word means if you're not familiar with autoimmune. Your immune system is the network of cells and tissues throughout your body that work together to defend you from viruses, bacteria, and infection. It tries to identify, kill, and eliminate invaders that might hurt you. What happens in autoimmune diseases? Autoimmune diseases refer to problems with an acquired immune system's reactions. Immune cells target the body's own healthy tissues by mistake, signaling the body to attack them. Autoimmune diseases can affect almost any part of the body, including the heart, the brain, the nerves, the muscles, the skin, the eyes, the joints, the lungs, the kidneys, the glands, digestive system, blood vessels. Then you got types of autoimmune diseases. Now these, you're going to recognize some of these names, but some of them you may not recognize, and they may play a role in what you're dealing with, because when you hear these, you're going to say, why didn't my doctor ever ask me about any of this? Some examples of autoimmune disease include alopecia areata, which is loss of hair, I believe. Let me double check that. Yeah, it attacks hair follicles. So if you're losing your hair, autoimmune hemolytic anemia, hemolytic anemia, autoimmune hepatitis, hepatitis, well, people know if they have hepatitis for the most part. Anemia is low iron, so it's going to have something to do with the blood there. I think you would know if you had that one. Dermatomyositis. That sounds, it's got something to do with the skin, so it probably has, well, we'll look, we can check it out later, but listen to the rest. Diabetes type 1, glomerulonephritis, granulomatosis with Graves' disease, Guillain-Barre syndrome, idiopathic thrombocytopenic purpura. Some forms of juvenile idiopathic arthritis. I need to put some salt on this meat. Let's give it a second here. I start talking before I start cooking. Let me show you what I got going here too. Had to give you a break from all those words. I needed a break from all those words. This is a 2-pound sirloin with a nice big fat cap on it and a beautiful sirloin cap. I've never cooked a sirloin in the air fryer because the air fryer is not usually big enough for a sirloin that's this big. I looked at it beforehand, and hopefully it's going to go in at an angle. So we'll see how this comes out today. I'm cooking it from frozen, and I'm going to do it for 24 minutes initially. I may add some time at the end because it is a big piece of meat. But normally 23 minutes is about what I do the ribeyes at, so it should be enough. We'll see how it goes. So anyway, let me stick this in the oven here. Ooh, it just fit. Take a look at this. Just barely fit. When it wasn't frosted when it came out of the freezer. It's only that way because the humidity down here in Florida is insane. That happened since I pulled it out. There we go. I left that stay open too long. What's the point of preheating if I'm not going to close the thing quickly? Oh well, it'll work out fine. Alright, where were we? Some forms of, we didn't. Some forms of juvenile idiopathic arthritis. Myasthenia gravis, some forms of myocarditis, multiple sclerosis, pemphigoid. I know I'm killing some of these. Pernicious anemia, polyarteritis nodosa, polymyositis, primary biliary cirrhosis, psoriasis, rheumatoid arthritis, scleroderma, systematic sclerosis, Sjogren's syndrome, systematic lupus, erythematosus, some forms of thyroiditis, and some forms of uveitis, and vitiligo. Now, I don't know what a lot of those are, but I know some of those, and I know a lot of people who have had joint pain. Rheumatoid arthritis is related to joint pain, and they talked about joint pain being a relative symptom of autoimmune disorders. Now, most everybody seems to have joint pain. Well, is it any wonder if we're all eating the same garbage? Because I don't have the joint pain I had before. You know, there was a time that I literally crawled down the wall because I couldn't hold myself up without pressing against the wall to get into a hospital in my 30s. Now, I attest that my back pain went away by the grace of God, because I didn't do much of anything long ago to fix that, other than losing weight in 2006, which came shortly after that, by the way. But I gained a lot of that back, and I was on my way to that same pain. There's no doubt about it. When I started this diet, I was on my way there, and it was getting bad. And you know, on top of that, all the stress and things like that, and anxiety causing, I mean, the cortisol is going to lower your testosterone, which I dealt with before the diet. Anyway, that's a whole nother discussion. We're talking about autoimmune disorders, because that's what really, I think, a lot of us are suffering from, and it's caused by all the garbage we have in our food. The seed oils, the sugars, the refined starches. Bottom line is if you can't pronounce it and it has more than 3 ingredients on the box, it's probably causing some of these inflammation problems, because autoimmune deals with inflammatory issues. And that's the crux of the problem. Now, that's why people will ask me, why do you just say that, you know, you can do any diet? The reason I don't say you can do any diet, but I do say that Lion Diet isn't necessarily for everybody. And we're going to get back to my friend in just a moment, because this is what we talked about. But if you're not having autoimmune disorder issues, Lion Diet isn't necessarily what you need to be doing. It's not that you won't benefit from it, but regular carnivore diet offers more options. And if you're not trying to cure something that's related to joint pain, IBS, or any of those issues that I mentioned as well, thyroid disorders, any of the autoimmune stuff, then try keto, try carnivore. You could try vegetarian if you want, but I don't recommend it. From what I've seen, it leaves you weak. It helps because you're getting a lot of garbage out of your system, but it also leaves you just pasty and weak. And it seems like possibly affected mentally in a negative way. I don't want to upset anybody with that, but I mean, that's my observation. That's just my opinion, but it's what I notice. You know, carnivores get a little nuts too, but we get excited. We love what we do. It's not about ideology. We feel good, and we want others to feel good, you know, but nobody out there that's a carnivore is going to say, you should get rid of all vegetables. Vegetables should be banned. But vegans will do that. So, and they'll go into people's stores and pour stuff out. So, I mean, something ain't right going on. All right? But you try what you want to try to get healthy. I know if you kick seed oils, I know if you kick sugar, I know if you stop eating bread, especially the bread the way it's made today. I'm betting there's some bread that's probably not as bad for you, but I haven't looked into it enough because I'm really not interested in eating bread anymore. But if you kick that out, if you kick out the vegetables, if you've got gut issues, for sure. I know that for experience, that you got to cut out the seasonings and anything plant-based. So ultimately, I guess that means if you're doing the diet just for weight loss, you can try some of the other options. But, and here's where we get back to the conversation I had with my friend. My friend said, not supposed to have pork, am I? So I'm like, wow. I know he's sitting somewhere where he can eat some pork right now. And I know how much he loves barbecue. So I'm like, okay, I know he's really trying. He's been doing this for a few days and he is struggling. He's struggling. It's hard when you just decide to do this and you're not used to it. But I wanted to make sure I could help him out. So here I said, Lion Diet is only ruminant animals. Pigs and chickens are not ruminants, so no pork or chicken. Did we ever establish if the reason you're doing this is some sort of autoimmune issue or IBS or gut pain or something along those lines? If not, many people would do great with a carnivore diet that includes pork and chicken, from what others have told me. And by the way, seafood, I didn't mention that here. But from what others have told me and from what I've experienced in the past, Lion Diet is much more strict because it's about healing those issues that doctors don't seem to be able to help with. They'll prescribe the expletive deleted out of you, but they won't actually cure anything. So he answered, weight and issues with joints and discipline. So I said, joint issues are very often autoimmune related. I would encourage you to stick with the ruminant animals only if you want to see the benefit. Will do. I am at the Berg Bash, having to pass up a free rib from the barbecue competition. I already passed up on my offer to be a judge. I said, man, that's overcoming some temptation straight from the devil. Good Lord. I've had moments of tears on this trail, but they were tears of joy later on. The discipline is worth it, brother. And he said, I've really been sticking with it. I feel different already. About every other day I have a major sugar craving, but I'm not breaking my streak. I said, make that flesh your slave. And he gave me a thumbs up. And you know, I thought, man, that's that was really cool. And I had a comment earlier today. Somebody had said something that I haven't given any real thought to this, because, you know, I feel like you got to have some kind of credential to be a life coach or a health coach. But they said that. They said you would probably make a good life coach or health coach. And I thought, well, why not? If I'm getting healthy, I mean, what does it take? So I'll look into that. Who knows? Who knows where this is going to go? All I know is I have a passion for helping people, and I finally found something that I can truly help them with. You know, I used to sell electronics, and I could help them find the right TV or the right VCR or the right DVD player or the right whatever. But those were great. I made their lives better, because they probably would have bought something they wouldn't have been happy with. But did it really change anything in their life? I love that about this. Just like I loved it when I got into the retirement home industry. I was able to actually help people because I started as a volunteer, and I could go in there and I could read to them and I could play games with them, and then I can have fun with them and be that family member that didn't show up. I gotta grab something to flip this steak. Let's take a look at it. Looking good so far. I think it's gonna go just fine. So anyway, that was great. I loved being able to make their day, to be able to do something with my hands and my effort that truly made a difference for somebody else. And as I became the administrator eventually of that retirement home, I found myself face to face with bureaucrats constantly, trying to deal with ridiculous laws that fight with each other so that we can't do our job properly to provide the proper health care to these people. Let's just say I had no face-to-face time anymore with my residents. I was dealing with bureaucracy, and I was miserable. I was miserable. Okay? That was part of why I was where I was, because I wasn't able to do what I got into this for. I didn't feel like I was helping anybody anymore. They still make ridiculous rules that cause what I would hope are unintended consequences. So anyway, stumbling through this has been miraculous. I've been a lot more disciplined lately because I've started doing fasting. I'm getting more disciplined about getting up and doing my exercises on time. But all of that has come from starting a diet like Lion Diet, eliminating all of the garbage from my diet, from the way I eat. When I say diet, this is the way I eat now. This is not temporary. This is it. This is how I plan to eat. I'll find some things I can add in, but there's certain things I'm not going to try to add back in. I don't need French fries. I don't need bread. I don't need ice cream. I don't need any of that crap anymore. It's crap. And it doesn't make me feel better. The dopamine spike I get from it is gone, and then I crash lower when it's gone, and then I feel like crap because I ate it. I don't need that in my life. You don't need that in your life. So if you're looking for that healing, stick with the Lion Diet. Ruminant meat, water, and salt until you get that healing that you're looking for. Then you can start adding those things back in. And you'll find that you're going to have discipline in other areas. This is another video I want to talk about next. How about your financial discipline? Are you where you should be? Have you taken the steps to take care of your family? I mean, times are getting rough right now. I got something I want to share with you that's going to change your mindset about that too. Because if you don't change your mindset about your body, you're not going to feel good enough to change your mindset about anything else. So let's start with your health. Figure out what's going to work for you. What does your body need for changing? And then make the choice. But do something. Don't just sit there and wait for something to happen. It's not going to happen. It's going to be an ambulance ride. And I don't want that for any of you. You know, it's probably going to be an ambulance ride for all of us. But between now and my ambulance ride, if it feels like this, I can't. Quality of life is the best thing to talk about. My quality of life is through the roof compared to what it was. Yeah, I have my down moments. It's not all peaches and cream. Not that I would want either of those things. But it's not all roses. But man, it's so much better. So much better. And I've talked to some people lately that I got some more videos coming on. I've done a couple of discussions with other people that have watched this channel, and those will be coming soon. I'd like to know what you want. What do you want next? And I'll see if I can get that together. It's hard doing my 40-hour-a-week job and the study that goes along with that and doing all the editing, but doing this part I love. I'm gonna keep pressing on with the 30-day challenge while we go on too. I might as well show you how the steak is. Hold on. Now this isn't all for me, although I could eat it. I already had a ribeye earlier today, so I'm gonna have some of this and save the rest for Katie when she gets home. Let's dig into it. I'm gonna set this down and let it rest. And I'm gonna wash this pot real quick. For those of you who wonder how I clean the pot so quickly between cooking, is I just rinse it off and then I wipe it off. I use some soap when I rinse it, and then I rinse it again, and then I just wipe it off because I don't want to rub all this black stuff off on here. It keeps it from rusting. You know, I've been able to keep it almost like brand new. The first one I had fell apart pretty quickly because I was scrubbing it with scrubbers and all kind of stuff. Don't do that. All I know is it gets clean enough to cook with, and if you're cooking it at 450 degrees anyway, ain't no germs surviving that. So that's my logic, that's my reasoning, and it's all my opinion. I have to say that, you know. I could be wrong. I'm not arrogant enough to think that I can't be wrong. And this is going to be the longest video I've ever done for one that I just did spur of the moment to talk about cooking this steak initially. All that just came from the heart. It's a little more done than I usually like, but oh, it's so good. I have no complaints. I know you can't see it. It's pink right here. I mean, this thing's only at best 3/4 of an inch thick, so I probably did it a little longer than I needed to, just because it was a big piece of meat. But upon closer inspection, it was pinker than I even thought. I love it. Do I seem a little hyper? I feel really good after talking to my friend. Being able to help him like that, that lifted me right up. It gives me some ideas. Gives me some ideas of some things that I might like to do to be able to maybe have better touch with you guys. I mean, I already have the Facebook group page for Ferrigno Freedom that you can go to, and we can kind of keep in touch there. But it gives me some other ideas, maybe for the Patreon members. And by the way, thanks to my 4 Patreon members. We'll see. We'll see what I come up with. You guys can give me some suggestions if you follow my drift. Don't forget to go to redmond.life to get your Redmond salt or your Relight mix or any of the other products that they have that I also use earth paste, although I'm not sure I recommend it yet. I'm just letting you know I use it. But they got some pretty good products that are natural, and the salt is delicious. So if you go there and you use my code Dante, D-A-N-T-E, you'll get 15% off your order, and I'll get credit for it too. So it helps me out too. So it helps you, helps me. We both win. I love it. That's it for today. I'll see you guys next time.
If we pay extra, could we maybe get some grease or fat?
Be sure to check out my merch shop before you leave today. I've been putting together these designs for the carnivore community to be able to screw it, get up and do it. Check out some of the other designs I've got going on right now. Did someone say steak? I've got legalized freedom gear, and I've got new designs on the way.